My pores are raising. Look at that. It is like I listen to it before I come to work in the morning. I listen to it when I go home. I don't drink rum, and I don't do some of the things that are described in the song to bring that happiness. But
hi everyone, thank you for joining us. What you're about to see is our conversation with Abraham Smith. He's the outgoing CEO of Digicel Trinidad and Tobago. He's been with us for quite a number of years, and he's left behind quite a legacy of just people management and change. And I'm really excited to see how it kind of evolves. What did you think of it?
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm really looking forward to everybody hearing Abe's eccentric takes on everything, from his piano rendition of Farm and Happy's Hookin' Met to, his love for doubles and Polari. I think everybody's gonna, really enjoy the conversation today. And if you enjoy it, we encourage you to like and subscribe.
All right, so let's meet Abraham Smith. So Abe, thank you for your time. Yeah. Tell me, how are you? How is everything?
I'm good. I'm leaving Digicel and Trinidad here like the week of the 12th, and I might start crying. Like, no, seriously, goodness, like my wife. No, sad tears. So my wife asked me the same thing a couple days ago, and I said I feel like my heart's getting ripped out. Even though I know it's the right thing for me and it's the right thing for my family, and it's in some ways I think it's good to change in business too. But yeah, it's I'm doing okay.
Yeah. Feel free to cry. It'll be great for the video if you do. So please, by all means, go ahead.
But I'm doing good. Like, it's good. My wife and youngest daughter and her friend just flew in early this morning to help start packing up the apartment and whatnot. So that for several months I've been able to be like, oh, it's not goodbye yet, but now it's like, it's like next week or so. The reality's really setting in.
But what has that been like for you? Kind of balancing what you do here and then being a family man, because I know that's super important to you as well.
It is. I'm married and have two daughters, one 20, one 17.
Pivotal ages.
Yeah, and now my wife and I are facing being empty nesters here in 6-7 months. Balancing that with what I do work-wise, it's a good question. It's difficult, especially here, since COVID, my family went back to the States. And so just physically, like traveling most months, 3 weeks here, a week there, it's a lot of starts and stops, and so that's been a stressor. But it's been good. I think, marriage relationship has been really good. My wife and I have worked these kind of jobs my whole career, really, being abroad, sometimes together, sometimes not together. But yeah, now it's time to be together all the time. And so I'm looking forward to, even though it's like my heart getting ripped out, I'm looking forward to.
So how do you prepare for that type of transition after being so busy for so long with us?
I don't know. I need someone to tell me. So I've just been working. And that's why this is feeling like it's hitting me like a brick wall, because I've just been working and really not thinking about the next piece up until this. I don't know. I think I have to do things like, wait, who am I? What do I really want to be when I grow up? So I do have to think about some of those things. I have to think a lot about identity, like who's Abe, not who is Abe, CEO of Digicel persona, which Abe, CEO of Digicel, is the same as Abe, but it's also different. And it's like, so I have to think, okay, what does Abe look like doing something else or not doing anything, or
just enjoying the quiet.
Yeah, and that's for sure something I want to do, is definitely enjoy some quiet, play some games. Yeah,
and actually, it's funny you say that, Abe, because I find it to be a consistent theme when you're listening to, let's say, podcasts with, interviews with different people. CEOs, successful entrepreneurs, that type of stuff, a recurring theme is them having to learn to deal with the fact that they are not their job.
Yeah.
Like, and so much of us get attached to the identity that is our job. So it's really great to hear you say that, because, it's important for us to kind of, draw that divide, and, to hear you say that just now is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's, there's some aspects there. Like, one is it actually goes back to the relationship. I'm not even sure how we're getting to this topic, but it's interesting. Like my wife and I was married very early. Like, my wife, don't kill me if I get the dates wrong. But
we won't show up.
Yeah,
we could edit that out. Don't worry.
Edit that part out. But I was how old was I? 20, 23. I wasn't 24 yet when we got married, which is young-ish. So we built, we always talk about this as our job. It's not my job. And so I think that's been one method that's helped not be like totally consumed by your job identity, is that it's really like, I tell my wife when I would come back to Trinidad after being home, I'm like, all right, I got to go plant some more crops and pick some more weeds. And because I grew up on a farm. And so I'm like, this is just how like my grandpa worked all day and all night too, chopping cotton or doing whatever, farming. So for me too, this is like, I got to feed my family. So, all right, I'm going out to the fields for a bit. So this is our job. So I think that's one thing that helps. And then the second thing that helps is, I remember once early, I got some advice that was like, don't believe your own press release, like don't take yourself so serious. Don't get absorbed in what other people are telling you about yourself. And don't get, don't like high on your own supply. What do they say? You gotta just, take it easy.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned those two specific things too, because one of the things that always stood out to me, because obviously I've been working with you for quite some years now, was when you first came into the company and you did like this big town hall, kind of introducing yourself. And I always remember that slide you threw up, and I can't remember if we did it at IMAX or Queens also. It was this big presentation, and you were on a tractor, and you were giving.
I was like this in my diaper. I think I was in my diaper on the tractor.
As a kid, just so everybody knows, right?
As a 3-year-old, me in a diaper,
Exactly. So I think that, the crowd cracked up, but I think it's so funny to hear you mentioned growing up on the farm, and you mentioned not taking yourself too seriously. And I felt like that moment totally encapsulated who you were. Because, working with you, I know you're big on like the self-deprecating humor and, sarcasm and that type of stuff. And, it's been good to see that. I think you really own it and personify it. Yeah.
No, I think, when it comes to leadership, it's more about like how, like you can only work like 24 hours in a day if you don't sleep. And then if you sleep and eat, and you can only work 8, 9, 10, 12 hours. Really, you can only work 4, 5, 6 effective hours maybe. So it's like, how are you using those hours to get the kind of 15 people you interact with all the time, and the 50 people you interact with regularly, and then the 800 or 900 people that need to be inspired to do something to serve customers. Like that's what you have to make happen. And so, you got to be results oriented. You have to know how to organize. You have to know how to delegate. You have to know how to return and report and use data to inform your next decision. But underneath all that, you have to be able to help people feel good about themselves, help people feel confident about themselves, and that's how people want to show up and accomplish anything. Like we say, wake up and go to work, but it's really like we all decided to be in this project together, and we have a motivation to make money and feed our family, like I was saying, plant the crops. But it's like we choose to be here, so like let's make it fun. Let's make it feel inspiring. Let's find like the God-given talents in each person and see how we can bring those out and make people feel good about how they're contributing to the work.
Yeah, I think that's such an important process to have in coming into leadership and deciding what type of leader to be, and in acknowledging how what you decide to be or who you decide to be kind of affects the 15 people you deal with day to day. But how did you decide that this is the type of leader you wanted to be and this is the atmosphere that you wanted to create?
I think two things. One, I don't think, and I don't deserve credit for any of them, but one, it's just fun. Like I don't want to be miserable, and I know other people don't want to be miserable, so don't make it miserable. So that's number one. Number two, and I'll maybe go out on some of a limb here, is someone asked me this when I was working in the Maldives, and I answered in this same way, kind of gut instinct, and I've had to reflect on it for a long time, and it's still true. I believe we're all brothers and sisters and children of a God. And so if I'm interacting with somebody, that means I need to, I can't be bringing them down. I can't be making them feel bad. That's the child of a king, you know? And so I think my father and mother really instilled that in me. And that's really informed, sorry, getting emotional a bit, that's really informed how I try. And I'm not successful all the time, of course.
Yeah, well, we're flawed people,
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
But I think starting with that premise that we have divine potential, we have gifts and talents and abilities, and we're on this earth to develop those. What a joy to be in a position to help people build and develop that. It just so happens that it's a money-making enterprise, it's a telecom enterprise, it's in Trinidad and Tobago, or whatever, however you want to categorize what even the three of us are doing together. But I think that, one, wanting things to be fun and not miserable, and number two, recognizing that if I really believe that, then that's how I have to, that's how it should be reflected. And I try, sometimes successfully, sometimes unsuccessfully, to bring that out.
But you've taken that incredibly seriously, even beyond just being a leader. We've seen the development of the Digicel Foundation. And I know that existed before you came and all of that, but you've been such an integral part of the way the foundation has kind of flourished over the last few years. How important has that been to you to have that not just be who you are as a leader, but just using that privilege to help as many people as you can?
Yeah, I think it's look, the foundation, I am a 0.25%. Everybody who's involved in the foundation, Penny, Diana, Cindy Ann, I'll miss lots of names. Everybody involved there, all of our partners. Dennis O'Brien, who really drove setting it up, Maria, the chairman. That's been cool to have that vehicle, and I think that's a huge credit to Digicel as a brand. And I was glad that vehicle was here for me. I think we've made a lot of really positive change in communities. I think the projects that we take on are not these pie in the sky things that somebody from outside is coming up with and here's what's good for you. Yeah. But it's reaction to community need. What a brilliant, brilliant program. So I've been really blessed to come into an organization that has something like that.
Yeah, I could imagine. And I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, right? And I feel like that type of work that the foundation is doing, and which we know you've been really instrumental in, probably helps to take the edge off some of the more challenging parts of the business too. Because I'm sure it's quite a fulfilling thing when you know that the work you do and the company you work for, when you can go out there and see, when you forget the networks and the fiber and everything that's going on, everything, and you can actually help people and you see the impact of what you're doing directly. It has to be a good feeling. And the reason I say that, and I have to ask you how you deal with the pressures of leading a company like Digicel. And let me unpack that a little bit, what I mean by that. Digicel is a really unique company in the sense that it's 24/7 all the time, right? And people depend on it all the time. There's
Yeah.
always somebody using the service. It's not unique in that sense. There are many businesses across the world like that right now. But I think that consumer demands have changed. They've gotten so much, the expectations are so much higher in the past couple of years with regards to uptime and that type of stuff, right? And I always find it's always hard to be in a business like telecom, banking, social media, that type of stuff, where most times you're invisible. Nobody ever really sits down and says, oh man, this thing is working fantastic today when it's working, right? It's just in the background. It's supposed to be invisible. Most of the times when your customers think about you in that way, it's unfortunately when things go wrong because something isn't working, right? So, and I know, you see all the comments and everything like that. How do you deal? What's your method for dealing like that,
I think first, and this goes back to when I started in this business in 2000, 2001, 2002. It's like this business is not bits and bytes and towers and fiber. This business is connecting. And so very early, and also give credit to the people who kind of taught me in this business, was like, this is the business of connecting people to the people, the places, now the information that people want and need. And so I get a lot of joy, kind of emotional joy out of that. So I don't wake up every day thinking, oh, I'm in the business of putting up towers, or if you're in the business of putting up towers or running an internet factory, that mentally is very different than waking up and saying, hey, I'm connecting some people today. I'm helping someone start a business today. I'm making sure, think about this. I think about this a lot. And I mean, Colin's in the background somewhere. We talk about this too. It's like 40 years ago, if you wanted to see your aunt in New York City, what'd you do? You got on an airplane and spent thousands of dollars to see them. If you wanted grandma to see who's abroad to come back and see the new baby, you flew grandma or flew her from here to there, thousands of dollars. Now, for like 300 TT a month, you can be with someone anywhere in the world, see them, hear them, see facial micro expressions. Like, this is not grainy pictures. So I get really excited about that. Now, you're right, the demands and the expectations come along with that. And I think maybe in our lowest moments, it's like, hey, but come on, we're trying here. Like, look at all this, But I think that's the business we're in. So like that's what we're getting paid for. So we're getting paid for it. We're in the business. If I wanted to be in a different one, I'd be in a different one. And if you're not up for that type of challenge, then I find something else. Get into news media or something.
It's worse. Let me tell you, it's way worse.
Yeah. But that's also, that's also a huge opportunity because sometimes I react incorrectly, but I try. Feedback is a chance to improve and grow. And so if you isolate yourself from your customer feedback and you isolate yourself from those comments, then you isolate yourself from an opportunity to, number one, recognize an opportunity, and number two, just do your job better. So I think those are the ways I've dealt with it. Number one, seeing the business as something more than just nuts and bolts, and then number two, recognizing that intensity is really an expression of need, and I want to fulfill people's needs. I'm a pleaser. I want to make sure you're happy. So great, tell me what's wrong so I can make you happy. So I think those are two of the big ways I do.
But you've developed with that too. Digicel is not your first foray into telecoms. You've been doing this for a long time. But watching this evolution of what telecoms has become, it's not just landlines anymore.
Yeah.
It's not just cell phones anymore.
Yeah.
Digital business is now a thing. We've kind of branched into so many different tentacles of what telecoms started as.
Right.
What's it been like for you to watch that evolution play out?
It's kind of cool. Like I remember when I was in Uzbekistan, rolling out Edge on the network. You know, now I can't even remember like how many kilobits per second. I don't know. We were just like, it's got a theoretical 128 kilobits per second. Like it's amazing, you know? And like I remember that. I remember rolling out one of the first HSDPA sites in Asia when I was in the Maldives. And now being here with Digicel's LTE Advanced. Sorry, it sounds like a commercial, but that's just the name of the technology, you know.
One of the jobs of this year is
the
good.
LTE Advanced network here. It's been pretty cool. It's also been like, I recognize that I'm not the young, like 20-something, like cool, hip guy anymore. I'm like there are folks working here that are my children's age now, so I need to be listening different.
Yeah.
And so the tactics, the assumptions that I had when I started, and the ones that I were taught is like, these are the hard and fast rules. You know, if A happens, then your response should be B. A lot of that's changed. So you have to be humble enough to recognize your own limitations too, and be like, hey, look, if you know this person that is only in this business for a year, they actually understand customer need a lot better than you do. They understand customer response to your action perhaps better than you do. Now you've got some experience and you've seen different situations, but you have to be humble enough to listen. So how's it been for me? It's been cool to see the technology change. It's been humbling to have to step back and be like, all right, I probably need to listen more here because I don't know. I've not seen this before, but some other people who aren't the CEO do understand it. So you got to listen.
On behalf of all the young people, please tell the other CEOs. Please tell them too.
Yeah, well, I'm really upset that you don't claim me in the young people category.
I didn't want to interrupt. You know, it would just be rude. So,
You're not young either.
But you know, it's funny though, and it ties back into what you were saying earlier about not taking yourself too seriously, right? And again, because you know, both of us have worked with you for so many years at this point, we know that you mean that in the best way. There's, you know, we've seen you be serious when you need to be. But outside of that, we know that you're the type of guy who's walking the floor joking with literally everybody, right?
Sorry for those terrible jokes.
Well, joking. Just for the people who are actually listening to this, just so you guys know, every time we have to meet with Abe, so let's say we have an update with him, he kicks off every meeting with like one of his famous jokes. He calls them. It's anyway, let's not get into it.
No,
but he's very I wouldn't say famous. He's notorious for it. That's the word.
Yeah.
But I think that spirit divides itself. It becomes one that shows people it's not just about listening, but it is also leading from in front.
Yeah.
Well, that's how we see it in Trinidad, leading from in front.
Yeah.
It's not just saying, I'm an island, I'm the boss, I understand everything, I get everything. And I think that really showed itself, especially during the blackout that we had a couple of years ago, where, you know, completely unique circumstance. I don't think anybody could have really prepared for what that meant. And that's business in general. Far more for Digicel as a telecoms company, who was the only company that actually had some level of connectivity during that period. I can't imagine what that experience was like what you just going about your day and then...
So you mean that particular one?
Yeah.
That was stressful. It was stressful, but with that we knew we had... So that's all about preparation, because it's like nothing you can do in that moment. It is all about preparation. And like we have people, systems, and processes that just like immediately kicked in. And so that power goes out and we have a whole kind of strike team. It's like, all right, double check this, double check this, double check this. These 5 people come into the office, kind of links into the power company, links into ODPM, and then trackers kind of go up. All of the sites, are they up? Do they have fuel? Repositioning. We had mobile teams that had fuel and generators to go top up batteries that were draining faster. So that's all about preparation, and that is stressful. Kind of watching the plan execute, but then you're like, oh, it's working. That's really. It was really good.
That's how it feels in news, by the way. Except every day.
Every day?
Every day.
All right. Sorry for my subtle dig earlier.
No, but you also did that. That happened during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And against that backdrop, if you think about having to get your teams into remote work mode, if you think about maintaining productivity, maintaining customer expectations, things like that you would have had to go through, I cannot imagine actually the amount of stress that's attached to that.
That was hard. And that was even like in the first few months, I wasn't the CEO. I was responsible for the mobile revenue. And like mobile revenue is in the definition, mobile, like no one was mobile. And so it was like, so that was tough. But I think that again was another opportunity to see like, all right, there's new needs. There are new signals we need to be listening to make new types of decisions. And kind of teaching myself, working with the team to teach ourselves what new things should we be listening to. When I say things, I'm meaning like what signals in the marketplace, like what like mobility statistics, how traffic is moving on the network, those types of things. How can we listen to those and then make a better decision about what to do tomorrow? How can we take information about what types of stores are going to be allowed to be open next week so that we can have our product in those stores that maybe hadn't traditionally been in those stores so that people will have access to top up or SIM cards or whatever. So that was super stressful, but also really fun. And it was cool to come and we all learn new ways of doing things, right? Look kind of before pandemic and post pandemic and how everybody changed how they do business. All the way, Super Farm having you do your prescription over WhatsApp and online, right? It wasn't really happening before, and people didn't see a need before, so businesses didn't see a need to really, but man, we all learned real quick.
Yeah, it definitely drove, at least from a very Trinidadian perspective, it drove a lot of technology adoption in a short space of time that some of the business community is probably a little bit hesitant to do, I would say, at least from my perspective. And, to build on your point, all of a sudden, you could order online everywhere, all of a sudden. And that was not something that was super widespread, I would say, in most businesses before.
And a lot of those changes came from telecoms.
Yeah.
It required better internet connections, better upgrades. The things that people were just accepting as normal at that time kind of made Digicel also have to pivot in what it provided to people.
It did. And I think we saw that in the business side. So instead of massive pipes to one place, we needed multiple pipes to multiple places. It also took some additional kind of customer education, I would say, because now, my internet's sticking. It's like, well, now you have 10 devices going to that same pipe, and you only have this size pipe. You need a bigger pipe, which then brought into question, like, is there a willingness to pay? Is there an ability to pay? Does ability and willingness meet up? And that was a lot of change. Yeah, now you're making me stressed out thinking about it.
It's over.
It's over. Okay.
Yeah. As you touch on customer education, I would say that that's probably a very challenging part of the job in a sense, right? Because if we even thinking about what you were saying compared to, you've been in telecoms for quite some time now, and it's not just that technology is developing very quickly, but it almost seems to be happening at an accelerating pace, an exponential pace, right?
Yeah.
You know, as quickly as we learn one technology, another one is already out the door. And, you know, it's this constant thing. And even those who are more technical minded sometimes are struggling to keep up. I can imagine it becomes an even bigger challenge now when you are not only trying to keep pace with technology, but communicate the space of technology out to customers and have them understand why these things are changing, you know, and trying to meet that in the middle.
Yeah, I think so the kind of layer we play in people's lives, which is really the connectivity layer, is our bread and butter, right? And I think part of what we've learned is, look, don't get too distracted by all the ancillary stuff. Make sure that you're delivering a great connectivity experience. And I think that's something you'll see from us, people will see from us, is really focusing on that connectivity experience, because that is what is going to be relevant regardless of what other use or how technology changes. Yeah, we may have some technology changes about how we deliver more capacity over the same size pipe or use spectrum more efficiently, but that doesn't really touch the customer. They really don't see that or understand that or need to. And so I think number one, us really focusing on the connectivity experience. I think that's for the consumer. On the business side, I think that principle is more relevant because I see there's still a lot of adoption of things that can be happening in the business community. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that in our with what our customers are telling us, with the kinds of products they want us to supply to them, and also some of the things that we want to provoke and make sure are being adopted. I think, you know, issues around cybersecurity and the tactics for making that happen effectively, that's something that still has a lot. We all need to do a lot more on that. I think, like we're in the state of emergency now, the solutions for helping kind of prevent crime and also for people to be resilient after an incident, to support investigation of crime, a lot of technology adoption can still be done in Trinidad and Tobago for that, and everywhere. It's not a Trinidad thing. I think it's everywhere. There's a great article I love reading, and it talks about how factories used to be powered by steam engines, and then electricity came. But for the first, 50 years, all factory owners did is they took out the steam engine and they put an electric engine in. Mm-hmm. But all of the apparatus was still the same.
Yeah.
There was a big turbine that went through, and there were belts that drove additional things. And so you had these massive machines being driven by this kind of central thing. And it took years before people were like, I could make a sewing machine small and just take the electricity there and just power that one machine rather than having to spin up this whole apparatus to run one machine. In some ways, we're still that way with the information age, is we've just replaced this engine with the internet engine, and we still haven't fully figured out all the other aspects. Yeah. And I don't know what that answer is or what that ends up looking like, but I think we have to accept that's where we're at in this cycle.
And then you have things like generative AI and LLMs and everything being leveled on top of all this now. So, I think it's going to just shoot off again. And then everybody, literally everybody at every touch point, leaders in business, customers, consumers, everything, everybody's going to have to learn to adapt to, all these things that are coming at us so quickly, right? Yeah.
If you consider what you've seen over the course of your career, not just at Digicel, but even in the past, you've worked in so many places, seen so many cultures. What do you feel like you're taking away from your time in Trinidad?
A few more pounds from the morning doubles.
Well, I was about to say, aside from your sterling doubles wrapping skills.
Yeah, doubles and Pelori have made it hard to accomplish my body image goals. There is an openness here that's amazing. There's an openness on the street. There's an openness at work. There's an openness in the culture. There's an openness in the songs that are sung. I'm really gonna I'm gonna miss that. I'm gonna take that with me. I think there's an openness that I'm really gonna take with me. I think that's one of the big things. There's a freeness. There's an openness. There's a willingness to accept. There's a willingness to not be embarrassed. If
a lack of shame, if you will.
Now, you could take that the wrong way too, but there is I'll call it an openness. There's a real openness that I think is beautiful, and I'm going to take that with me. There are a lot of expressions of that, but generally, that's this openness I'm going to take with me. I mean, I love the music. Most weekends I drive out to either Maracas Beach. Sometimes I drive out to like Chagaramas. But Saturday mornings I put the top down, kind of open up the sunroof, roll the windows down, and just play like my favorite soca hits and just turn it on blast and drive. Like it's so fun.
Top 5 soca hits.
So I'm just going to name one.
Okay.
And that's Happiest Man Alive.
Fair.
My pores are raising. Look at that. It is like I listen to it before I come to work in the morning. I listen to it when I go home. I listen to it on a Saturday morning, driving to the beach. Happiest Man Alive. Now, I don't drink rum, and I don't do some of the things that are described in the song to bring that happiness, but no, like that ethos, like that one is probably my favorite. And I think my Spotify listen list would say that that's so. Yeah.
That's a good song to start your day with, to start. Actually, it just puts you in a better mood.
Oh,
and totally I think that's kind of leaking over into how we view you, because you really do always look like this. So it works for sure.
Well, I'm glad.
But what do you hope to leave?
I hope to leave I hope that people, especially within the company, see that there's a way to get results without there's a way to get results by lifting people up. Okay, and I think sometimes people take a shortcut to trying to get a result by talking about the result itself, by controlling action to get the result. But the best way to get a result is to give people a different experience that helps them believe something differently about themselves or about what you're trying to accomplish, that's going to help them take the right action. And so I hope that the leaders who I've worked closest with, that some of that will seep in. That if you want to get a different result, you've got to give the people that are around you a different experience. Because people don't make decisions like for no reason. They make decisions because of something that's happened before, something they learned before, something that they were explicitly taught before, something that they experienced before. So you have to give people a different experience. So I hope I leave that. I honestly hope I leave some of the terrible humor. And then I hope I also leave an understanding that it doesn't matter what position you are in the, like when you put down the org chart, our org chart has me at the top, but like you need to flip it. And I hope I leave the fact that like all of the support structures are really there for our frontline employees who are selling and serving these millions of customers. And so when you take that org chart, I hope I'm leaving the fact that, you work for that person above you in this inverted chart.
Yeah.
And so I hope I leave that. Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I think people-driven leadership is a really awesome quality to have, just because it shows that people aren't just digits. They're not just a workforce. They are people with singular and individual needs and support that they might need. And ultimately, that's going to give you the best results possible.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts, any final messages? Not just to Digicel staff, but just to Trinidad and Tobago, because I feel like we've all gotten familiar with you in one way or another. Especially over Instagram, people love you.
So I don't know, like I was thinking about that. I was thinking about what Instagram post should I do, kind of leaving out, and like I was remembering. I think the first one I did like a sad version of Hook and Me. Where it's like, that's a terribly sad song, but it's sung in this like upbeat way. And it's like, this man just had his life torn apart. Like why are we like jumping? Like, he's like devastated.
Was that the piano rendition?
That was the piano rendition.
You know, I was telling Nico about that and Nico never saw it. I said, I know I did not dream this. Uploaded on Instagram a piano rendition of a Farm and Happy song.
Yeah. So I think that's, I don't remember the question, but
just fine.
I've done that. I've sang with Patrice. I've sang with Nadia. I've been Short Pants Santa. Did you see Short Pants Santa?
I did.
Yeah. Those are some blazing white legs. That's the new color for Christmas: red, green, and white. I don't know what else to leave. I'm going to miss Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'll find my way back here someday. I certainly hope so.
Yeah. Life has a funny way. You never know.
Life does have a funny way.
Never know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thanks very
Thank you for
much.
spending it with us.
No, happy
This
to.
is a really, really good conversation.
Thanks very much. Nice to see you.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Abe.